the live screen. We're going to kick you on right now. And I will.
Well, hello.
Go ahead.
Hello, everybody. It's Ina Montgomery with Urban Tech. I am the Digi sis in the Digi world, coming to you live again from one of my favorite spots, Liberty Memorial. With us working inside and being inside buildings and the houses and the coffee shops, I take every opportunity and every advantage just to enjoy being outside. And I'm definitely social distanced away, so I don't have to, or choose not to, rather, put on a mask. But all is good. It's a beautiful day. Let me see if I can show you a little bit of where I'm at. Kansas City has a lot of great views in case you've never joined them. This is on the lawn at Liberty Memorial. Well, not so much that way, but this way. And so you kind of get an overview of the city down there. So I am sitting here on the lawn. Let me see if you recognize where I'm at. Yeah. And I'm on the shaded area with all the trees. It's really kind of nice. But what I noticed today as I was setting up my chair here is that there's a lot of dog poop. And I was thinking, how rude, how disrespectful that people would just come out here with their dogs, no bags. And it's my first time noticing it. So anyway, I thought I'd share that. I'm showing you this great spot. It's good for you to come check out, but keep in mind, there's a lot of dog poop. So you might want to think about that before you start walking down here. So anyway, we are going to continue conversation on how wider the digital divide is getting during this pandemic. It's just such a grave concern because we already know we were already dealing with a digital divide. And so with the onset of the coronavirus, that gap is widening even more. But thankfully here locally, there's a couple of service providers who are doing everything that we can and have been working throughout the summer. Me, I believe Tammy Buckner with WeCo KC, William Wells definitely with the Steam Village. That brother just keeps it moving. And I'm sure there's others I'm not aware of. Oh, the young lady, she was at PlexPod, Flex Path or something. I'm sorry I didn't get the name before I came on today. So we're doing our part to definitely help close the digital divide to make sure, especially I know the mission for me and some of the other organizations to make sure that K through 12 Black students are getting access to technology, becoming aware of it, learning about it, getting them during their developmental years is the time that we trigger exploration. It's the time to trigger their curiosity, to trigger it and to feed it. So I'm excited about the space that I'm in and the work that I do. I think I mentioned last week briefly about a grant that I received. And so with that grant, it's going to allow me to finally actually get a new website that I've been talking about now for probably a year. Shame on me. But I actually also found out the other day as I was kind of doing some pre-work for my website, I went back to look to see if urbantech.org was available. And sure enough, it is. So when I initially signed up, looking for that domain, it was not available, which is why I selected the urbantech.net. And I said, oh, I'll just spin it as a network of K through 12 educators and blah, blah, blah. And that was fine. That kind of worked. But I believe that, or I know that rather, I'm trying to find a good spot here without that runner. I think that having the .org destination is going to be better for me as a nonprofit organization. So needless to say, I immediately hit the purchase button. I got the domain. I will be working, hopefully, as soon as I hear from my board member, with some students out of Las Vegas who do websites. They are Black students who have been doing website development for some time. And it just goes along with my mission. If I am about Black students, as I say that I am, and I am, then I will be having students create the new urbantech.org website. So another good, exciting news. Also, with those grant funds, I plan to, I think I mentioned last week, my STEAM in the Streets program. So we'll be rolling that out here. Depends on when I get my game plan together. I hope to give you a date next week, for sure, and more details about that, how you can sign up a neighborhood, a community group, a church group. And again, I've always been a mobile program, so I will definitely be more mobile to provide opportunities for K through 12 students to have access to STEAM activities. And they will be aligned with their curriculum. So I'm excited about that. Going back to the website, I'm sorry. I will have a teacher login for professional development. I'll have a student login for workshops. So that it's just all good times right now for Urban Tech. Luckily, that micro grant did come through, and I'm at the also applying for other grants because during these times, funds are still needed to do the work. And so I'm just excited about the potential and the opportunity that I can hopefully leverage during this time to continue the work of Urban Tech. So I want to talk more today. I came across a few more articles about the digital divide widening. During the pandemic. And the Pew Research, who a lot of you I know read, came out with an article. Let me see, I'm on my laptop, and it says the name of the article, the title rather, is "The Pandemic is Forcing Everyone to Face the Digital Divide." And so this is actually an article in Wired magazine. And it talks about, I'll just briefly read here, as the numbers of COVID-19 cases in the U.S. continues to rise, many parents in the country are getting ready for a fall semester based entirely on remote learning. Attempting to teach and learn from home has put a tremendous strain on all parents, teachers, and students, but for families without access to high-speed broadband or the proper number of devices for kids to work off of, the upcoming school year poses the possibility that those children will fall even further behind. On Tuesday, Wired editor-in-chief Nicholas Thompson sat down with Adrian So and Pia Seres to discuss how the digital divide may worsen inequality in a socially distant school year ahead. So that's just the beginning of that article. Let me see if I can give you the date on that. That is Wired magazine, and the date is August 18, 2020. And again, the title of that is "The Pandemic is Forcing Everyone to Face the Digital Divide." So as you and I know, I have been working in the gap of the digital divide for several years. Started off some time ago just doing small workshops, then moved on to Sisters in STEAM to have specific outreach to Black girls and their interest in technology, or again, it's an introduction, it's an awareness, because our kids don't know what they don't know. So just introducing them to science, technology, engineering, art, math, and all the different activities, again, to spike that curiosity, to get them thinking, hey, is that something that I can do? And what I'll be coming out with this fall, as soon as I have a minute to sit down, is my culturally themed curriculum. So the culturally themed curriculum will be an opportunity to integrate the contributions of Black scientists, technologists, engineers, artists, and mathematicians, both male and female, along with STEAM lesson plans. So as the teacher is teaching in the classroom, they can also talk about the contributions of Blacks in those different areas. So that's going to kill two stones, or two birds rather, at one time, using one stone. And so this will be an opportunity for some of the teachers who don't feel comfortable teaching culturally competent lessons. I will write the lessons for them. I will provide the lessons for them, working with two other educators in Black Studies and Black History that I met through the Teaching Black History Conference. And so I'm excited about working with two doctorates in that area. And they'll be working with me. And then eventually I'll be building up a cadre of teachers to submit lesson plans that will also go on the Culturally Steamed website. So I'm excited about that. And so culturally competent education and learning is going to be essential, especially especially since we are so distant, and the students rather are socially distant from their classmates, from their teachers. This will be an opportunity for them, albeit online, but at least they will have some kind of access to understanding and knowing and learning and finding out about the contributions that Blacks have made in STEAM. As we found out, it was no surprise to some, but a surprise to others. A lot of Black students said at some of these march and protests, we don't know who we are. We don't know our history. It is not being taught to us in school. And so the culturally STEAM curriculum provides an opportunity for that. So again, more on that information later. I want to go to another article that I pulled up about the widening gap. And, you know, there's probably no reason for me to really pull an article up because we are already aware that the digital divide exists and that it is getting worse during this pandemic. So in looking at what Urban Tech is planning for this fall, it will be an opportunity to to work with teachers, to sit down with them and their lessons, look for opportunities for technology enrichment, put together a STEAM kit, send that information, or I'm sorry, send the kits to their students where their students can do the technology-based lessons. And either the teacher can do it on his or her own, Urban Tech or me could lead that session. But definitely, I'm going to have to keep it moving because there's too much at stake, and the Black community cannot afford for our kids not to have access to technology during this pandemic, so that once we come out of COVID, probably next year, where our kids are having to start a year back to catch up, which is unfortunately the model that we already have. And so whatever I can do as my part to help close that gap. I forgot, how can I forget my shout out? My shouts out earlier, and I forgot to mention George Walker, Black Family Technology. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, Mr. Walker. So special shout out to all the work that he's doing with robotics, First Lego, and everything else that he has been doing for probably about 20 years in helping to close the digital literacy divide for Black kids in the urban core. So again, I get so caught up sometimes, so my apologies. But it is so important that we stay true to our work. And we're not going to, unfortunately, get every kid, but as much that the organizations that I named, and definitely Mr. Walker, as much as we can do, we are going to keep doing the work. And hopefully, with some other instances, we're reaching more kids because of the virtual platforms that we have access to, and that hopefully they will be interested in. The issue of devices, the issue of broadband, that's always going to be the issue. I can leverage some of the activity or my involvement rather with the Kansas City Digital Inclusion Coalition, working with some of those partnering organizations. I know the school districts, in general, are really working hard to make sure that all students have devices and have some form of access to the internet, because we can't leave any child behind. We just can't say, oh, well, this is just not a time for that. And so I will also be trying to explore strategic ways to partner with organizations that have space where maybe students can come, if not during the weekday, on weekends to space out and still do activities that are STEAM related. So there's a lot of options. I think now is the time to be bold. Now's the time to push the envelope. Now's the time to think out of the box for the sake of our children, for the sake of Black K through 12 school children. We really need to push ourselves for as hard as we can. And looking at the parent community, we're going to have to reach out to them and work with some of them to help them find the funds to make the investment, or at least access to the resources that can help their children at home have access to the internet and all the digital technology tools that are out there. And also the concern for, how are kids structuring their time at home? If there's no parent there making sure that they're going online, that they're doing their homework, we're going to have to come up with solutions for that as well. Because we know by now that to meet the needs of our community, we always have to go a step further. We always have to go the long yard into helping and to assisting and to ensuring that our kids have the same opportunities, if nothing else. They might not have the same advantages just because of the inequality in general of education, of the inequality of funding, and because of the inequality of just so many systemic things. But we can at least extend as much as we can the opportunities for them to have access to technology and to understand how to use it more so as a developer as opposed to a consumer. So that's the mission, to get our kids engaged, to get them involved, and to put those devices in their hands so that they are using technology. So I don't want to go on because I know I'm sounding like a broken record, but this digital divide during this pandemic is so great. And so it's so important for all of us and wherever we are, for whatever we do, to be advocates. If you're not directly a provider, try to be an advocate, try to give support to Urban Tech. You say, hey, Ina, I'm not sure what you're doing, but I know you're working with our babies. Here's $10, here's $15. I can volunteer, because once I roll out the STEAM in the Streets program, I'm going to definitely need volunteers. I've kind of got the structure, the model, so that I will rely on that particular neighborhood or church group or youth organization for volunteers. But it's always nice to have extra volunteers. So let's all work together. What I didn't do this week that I promised last week was to have a slide with my contact information. So shame on me. So here it is. If you want to reach out to me, please call me at 816-866-6340. More sixes in my phone number than I would prefer, but it is what it is. So 816-866-6340. I can be reached right now on Connect, CONNECT, at Urban, URBANTEC.net. And again, I am so excited that I will be moving over to urbantech.org. Just to recap, I'm going to have students, high school students out of Las Vegas, who will be creating my website. And all is good. The students that I was teaching cybersecurity, they're all off to college. I'm so proud of them. And they're all still working towards their cybersecurity certification. I'm looking forward to connecting with national organizations related to cybersecurity and strengthening my place and my position here in Kansas City within that space. And so if you have interest, any interest about any programs, or you want to see a program, or you want to connect me with your kid's school or your school for me to provide services, please, again, reach out to me, 816-866-6340, or by way of email, connect@urbantech.com. Oh my gosh, connect@urbantech.net. Got a little ahead of myself. So that is it for today, y'all. Just a real quick short show. I am Ina Montgomery of Urban Tech. I am the Digi Sis in a Digi world. Signing off until next week. Have a good one.